Welcome into the NBA Morning Deuce. Monday, November 29th. Full disclosure, people. If you're new to the show, thank you for watching. And if you're watching on YouTube, listening, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or on the Underdog website or wherever you listen to your podcasts. But if you've been with us for a little bit, you know we're still a pretty new podcast. And things happen with pretty new podcasts. And let's just say this is round 2 of the Monday podcast because we got about 10 minutes into our last recording and things got a little loopy. So we're doing it again, Alex. We're doing it again.
Round 2. I'm fine with it. I mean,
yeah,
we could have not told anybody. You know, we could have just waltzed through this and let everybody know we're perfect. But no.
Look, and at the end of the day, half of the last recording was us talking about how you ate McDonald's on Thanksgiving.
Right. You had to get that in there.
Yeah. Of course.
I wouldn't have minded if we just skirted past that. But that's fine.
Yeah, it is what it is. Other than that, I guess I was going to say other than that, you had a solid Thanksgiving, but I guess you can't have a solid Thanksgiving if that's the case. Well, hopefully everybody else had a much better Thanksgiving than Alex. And now we're back and training camp starts tomorrow. It's crazy to think that December 1st is a day away, and B, we're a day away from training camp and 10 days away from the preseason. It's wild.
Didn't Tyler Hero just have an incredible game in the finals? It just seems like it was just so recent. It's bizarre. And I know we kind of say that every year when training camp's here, but this time crunch is wild for the NBA.
It is
good for them figuring it out.
So this is the other thing we discussed on the lost recordings is I'm super nervous about it. I just don't like watching the NFL every weekend and just seeing the way things are shaking out, right? We've discussed this. We talked about it on the lost recording. Quarterback is the most important position in sports. To generally speak, I can't think of a more important singular position just in terms of the leader of the team. Even shitty quarterbacks are important to their team just because everything revolves around the quarterback. And in the NFL, the biggest sport in the United States, the NFL is king. They rule everything, and they only have to play one day a week. They can't even keep the stars of their reigning MVP. They can't keep him from getting COVID, and they can't get him to play one game in a week. And we are somehow anticipating the stars of our league, of the NBA, playing consistently every other day in the NBA. It just seems like it's going to be very tough.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this was also one of the huge reasons they wanted the season to start, earlier rather than later, is anticipating makeup games and stuff like that. It would basically be a miracle if we get through this season without, cancellations that have to be made up. Positive tests are going to come, and there's going to have to be a lot of impressive maneuvering by the NBA in terms of the schedule to get this whole thing in here, if they get the whole thing in here. But yeah, I'm getting nervous.
Yeah, well, so preseason starts December 11th. It's only 8 days. And we sort of talked about this a little bit off air, but we don't anticipate a lot of the stars playing, which they don't play a ton of minutes anyways, but particularly the stars or big names that played in the playoffs are probably not going to play a ton in the preseason. But I would think a lot of this is to work out the kinks of the protocol of travel parties and testing and going to other people's cities and this and that, because it's crazy to me. The league is pumping up this Lakers Clippers as the first game of the preseason, but no one's going to play. So I just don't know why the league is promoting so heavily on these notable games, Lakers versus Clippers. Does it matter? Do you think anybody's going to play in that game?
No, well, nobody of any note, but I guess maybe if it has any sort of significance, it would be coaches and GMs identifying guys at the very back end of these rosters or G League guys that can step in when they have to scramble to fill spots on the team. So maybe it's. I mean, for those guys, I think it's really important. These G League guys that. The G League's never been more important than it is this year. Those guys are going to have to step up at some points in time. So, I don't know, proving yourself to the coach and to the front office during this little 8-day preseason could be huge for some guys. But in terms of us seeing, the big names, it's not going to happen.
Well, actually, there are a couple that they had in this list that are interesting to me in terms of storylines and just seeing how things are early on. Kevin Durant, or the Nets' first game is on the 13th. That's interesting because assuming Kevin Durant at least even plays 10 minutes, it could potentially tell us a lot about just how he looks and how he moves.
Yeah.
So that's an important one. So, I mean, it's good that, and you asked before, like, why are they, previously on the lost recordings, why are they even having it? Why not just go to the season? And it's stuff like this, like teams got to be able to see their guys and also work out the kinks. But this is one of, I guess, of any preseason game. If I'm looking forward to one, this is the one because the Nets are such a big storyline in how the East shakes out just at all this season. So seeing them is interesting.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. I wonder, will John Wall get some run in that one? Do you think?
That's interesting too. Yeah. I mean, they might play him 48 minutes to try to prove to teams that he's good enough to trade for.
Right. That'd be something.
Preseason's just a John Wall showcase.
Yeah. Do you think there'll be FanDuel for preseason? Just hammer John Wall?
There's absolutely going to be FanDuel, and it's going to be so hard. It's going to be so because you're not going to know who's playing until you're gonna have to really monitor right up until the games start.
Yeah,
like every night, guys are gonna be late scratches. Guys aren't gonna be playing. Guys are gonna be called up that you never heard of. It's gonna be preseason FanDuel is gonna be nuts. I'm almost positive they have preseason FanDuel.
I think they will. Yeah, if there's a chance to make money, they're gonna do it. So
yep. Also, Raptors in Tampa against the Heat.
Get fired up. Are they? Is Florida allowing any sort of attendance or whatever?
Yeah, I think it's full attendance.
Christ, full attendance?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I have no idea, but I mean, if there's any city or any state that's going to allow it, it's going to be Florida.
Yeah,
I would think. How about? I was wondering this. I guess we could talk about this when we get to like the COVID protocol stuff, but like you saw, like Santa Clara County is not allowing any contact sports. So like the 49ers don't have a place to play their home games. Now the new arena for the Warriors, I believe, is in San Francisco, which is San Francisco County. I think. So I think they're okay, but you got to think they're pretty close to each other.
Right. And you don't know, more counties adopting that sort of.
That's what I mean.
Rule. Yeah.
And Gavin Newsom has been notoriously among like California natives that like super strict, which is probably the right way to be. But just their governor has been pretty strict about things. Like people in LA have, at least like on podcasts and shows that I watch, I guess it's kind of split everywhere, but a lot of people say it's still really strict out there in California. So that would be fascinating to see what happens there. I guess it's probably a lot easier to move an NBA team than it is to move a football team.
No, definitely.
Look, we're doing it with the Raptors.
Yeah.
You got Doc against the Celtics on the 15th. You excited?
I don't know, man. I'm just trying to temper my expectations for the Sixers team. I mean, I don't know how many games you've seen me watch. I get so emotionally attached to this team. I'm trying to remove myself a little bit.
Yeah.
So no, that doesn't do anything for me.
That's
Doc
fair.
versus his team that he coached 2 teams ago in preseason.
Storylines, baby.
Yeah.
You got to find something. I guess we don't really need to find storylines to watch preseason basketball. I was just happy to have basketball back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's about it. But they were really pumping up that Lakers Clippers game, and I'm just like, what? Why? What is happening here? In terms of you were saying like figuring out contingency plans and scheduling and like leaving room for themselves to reschedule stuff. The regular season starts December 22nd, but they've only scheduled the first half of the season. So they only have the schedule for the first 42 games. And then the last 30 games are TBD right now. Which that's I think where they're leaving themselves flexibility. If things go nuts, they can just totally change it.
Yeah, or go to a bubble. Like, I mean, I don't know if they can eliminate teams at that point in time. Although it's pretty rare for a team to be like literally have no hope after 42 games. So I don't know if they'd be able to cut the thing down. But yeah, it's all about flexibility. It looks like. So how many? It's a 72 game season. Is that correct?
Yeah. So
they'd have 30 remaining.
Schedule is released in 2 segments with the first half. I'm reading right here for anybody who's watching. With the first half of the schedule coming around the start of training camp and the second half of the schedule coming out in the latter part of the first half. For now, the plan is for each team to play 3 games against each intra-conference opponent, so their own conference, 42 games, and then 2 against each inter-conference opponent, 30 games. So I guess isn't baseball like that at one time where like their interleague play was later in the season?
I mean, I just know they played teams within their own division like a ridiculous amount of times, and I don't even. There probably wasn't.
That's actually kind of cool. So basically, the first half of the season is just all the East playing each other, and then the second half they play their West. We play interconference games. I don't know if that makes a difference with anything, but it just sounds cool.
It definitely makes the most sense in terms of limiting travel. You know,
maybe that's what it is. Yeah, that makes sense. So the key dates. Let me zoom in here a little bit. Key dates. So we got the preseason games, first half of the season, All-Star break March 5th to the 10th, but there's no All-Star game. That's postponed. So it's just the break for them. Second half of the regular season, March 11th to the 16th. And then the play-in tournament, which the rules are here for anybody who's watching and wants to see them. But again, I'm just this whole it's all very I'm just very skeptical about all of it. I'm happy that it's back. I'm happy basketball is back, but I'm excited.
Yeah, as hell for this play-in tournament is awesome. I'm glad this is carrying over from the bubble, and it's even a little bit more elaborate. The thing, and we can get more into the rules, but the most amazing thing to me is that you could finish as the 7 seed and miss the playoffs.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Really screw up in this play-in tournament. I think it's pretty cool, and it just also makes things more interesting. Especially, we've been talking a lot about how much of a dogfight the back end of the West is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can finish as the 9 seed the 10th. There's the 10th seed will have a shot to get into the playoffs. Do you want to break it down for people that haven't seen it?
Yeah. So it says the play-in tournament will include the teams with the 7th highest through the 10th highest winning percentages in each conference at the conclusion of the regular season. But before the first round of the playoffs, the team with the 7th highest winning percentage in each conference will host the team with the 8th highest winning percentage in a play-in game. The 7-8 game. The winner of the 7-8 game in each conference will earn the 7 seed. Wow, I didn't even know that. The team with the 9th highest winning percentage in each conference will host the team with the 10th highest winning percentage in the 9-10 game. The loser of the 7-8 game will host the winner of the 9-10 game in a play-in game, and the winner of that in each conference will determine the 8 seed. That's actually, it's cool. It's weird, but it's pretty cool.
It is. The only thing I just don't like it in the East, where I'm just thinking a team like I don't know,
Philly.
No, I really hope Philly isn't involved in that, although they might be. But I'm thinking of a team just a crappy team that finishes 10th, right? And then they really only have to win 2 games. They get super hot for 2 games. It makes it cool, I guess. It just to me works a lot better in the West, where there's actually 10 really good teams in the West, whereas we're going to be talking about who the Knicks maybe. I mean, we don't know how it's going to shake out entirely, but
Well,
I'm willing to bet that number 10 team is a bad team.
Well, you have. Well, let's look at it. Give me a second and I'll pull it up. But if you think about it, so you have Bucks, Heat, Celtics, Nets, Sixers are probably a lock to be in. I would imagine to be in the playoffs. I don't know where they fall.
Something horrible happens, yeah.
Got to assume the Raptors, even though we've been down on the Raptors, but they're probably a playoff team with Lowry, Siakam, and Van Fleet. They're definitely a playoff team. Pacers, they're pretty much bringing back their same team that went to the playoffs, even though we don't know what's going on with Oladipo, but it seems like they're bringing back their whole team. New coach. But then you have Orlando, Atlanta, Charlotte. We don't know. I mean, Gordon Hayward is not worth $120 million, but he's definitely an upgrade. They drafted LaMelo Ball. He could be incredible. And they were pretty good at stretches last year. Devontae Graham should have been most improved player. So those are probably the teams, right? I mean, everybody else kind of sucks.
Right. Well, I'm just thinking, I don't think that was 10. I'm just trying to think of
I think that was 10 exactly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I named the 8 teams that were in the playoffs last year, and then the Hawks and the Hornets were the other 2.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so I guess there are enough, decent enough teams in the East to make it so like a team like the Pistons or the Knicks don't actually have a shot to get in here.
Yeah.
Sorry, an alarm just went off. I like it. I just like it a lot more in the West.
I mean, could the Wizards, if John Wall's healthy, could they turn things around? I mean, the Bulls probably are still pretty far away.
Right. I guess at the end of the day, what it really is toward the end of the season, there's more teams playing for something than not. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, look, Charlotte finished 9th. If Charlotte and Washington finish 9 and 10, well, no, Atlanta's going to be up there. So let's say Charlotte and Orlando finish 9 and 10 and Atlanta's in, and it's like Indy and Atlanta are 7 and 8. If the Wizards or the Hornets were to beat them out to win one of those spots, you wouldn't be devastated.
No, definitely not devastated. We also haven't mentioned the Bulls. I wouldn't be as shocked if the Bulls are better than the Hornets this year.
Who do they? I don't even remember what they do in free agency. I don't even.
Well,
remember.
I'm just assuming they're going to have Zach LaVine healthy, Markkanen healthy.
Yeah, but they weren't healthy last year.
Zach LaVine was not, right? He got hurt late in the season.
I don't totally remember. Yeah, they pretty much brought back their whole team. They drafted Patrick Williams 4th.
I think that one's going to be a bad pick. I do think that one.
They signed Garrett Temple. Yeah, so they're pretty much, and they actually they got a better. We think they have a better coach, Billy Donovan. So that we'll see. But again, it's the first time Billy Donovan's ever not had a first ballot Hall of Famer on his team. So we'll see how that works out for him. Yeah, I mean, whatever. The play-in's fun. It's good, and it gives people incentive to keep trying till the end of the season, which has always been the issue. So then the other thing that happened this weekend in terms of starting the season is the league sent out their 134-page COVID guide to all the teams in terms of the protocols and all that stuff. I'm
just cracking up, imagining like J.R. Smith reading all 134 pages of this thing.
Oh yeah, they sent him his own leather-bound copy.
Yeah.
There wasn't, from the stuff that I read, like in terms of the stuff like articles that were out. There's 2 different types of resolutions for the COVID tests. Like if you test positive, it's either you could go time based, so go at least 10 days since the date of the first positive test, or the onset of any symptoms, and then gone at least 24 hours since their fever went away without using any medication or other symptoms have improved. And then test-based, person must return at least 2 consecutive negative PCR tests from samples taken at least 24 hours apart. Seems a lot easier.
Yeah.
Negative tests. It seems like negative tests is the way.
I would agree. Yeah.
Like you're going to tell me, like if a guy tests positive and quarantines for 14 days and tests positive, like what are we talking about here? They still have to take the test.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine.
So I'm not really sure what the time-based thing matters.
It's just like if something slips through the cracks and someone is playing in a game with COVID, like a lot of guys are going to get it. We've talked about this. Like basketball is just.
Adam Silver, I think the league has sort of accepted that. So partially, like they've basically said, guys getting COVID here and there is not going to be a stoppage. There's not going to be canceled. Like they're not going to cancel the season or suspend the season like they did last time. Like guys are going to get it.
Yeah.
But they did not lay out any sort of guidelines for like if there's like an entire team,
right,
or something. Because in basketball, obviously, 15 guys could get it.
That's what I'm saying. And then you have to dip into your G League roster. What if, hear me out, Spalding goes in a joint venture with Johnson & Johnson and they create some sort of basketball that is eliminating particles left and right. I can't even say this with a straight face. I'm just thinking of these guys sharing the ball. Like if one guy has it and he's sweating all over the ball.
I don't think you can get COVID through sweat, but proceed.
You can't?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Or you can get it from particles on your hands. I don't know. Yeah, I'm thinking of a guy wiping sweat from his mouth, and then the ball comes to him, and now that's all over the ball. We need a special basketball that's eliminating virus particles or something. I mean, how is this going to work, dude?
I'm trying to think of what I said about Pat Beverly the other day.
Oh no, we transmittable defense. If you're not playing transmittable defense, you're not playing good enough.
Transmittable D, yeah. That's my biggest thing. Is these guys? It's just like they're still going to play the way they play. I mean, they're going to play hard. Yeah. So I'm more concerned less about like them sharing the ball than I am that they're in each other's faces, calling out plays, talking shit, everything. Breathing. They're just breathing.
Yeah.
They're breathing into each other's mouths for 48 minutes.
Right. There's no way around that. They gotta breathe out there.
Yeah, if you're not breathing into your guy's mouth that you're defending, you're not playing good defense. The fact is, I think, like you said, if you don't get COVID, then you're not playing hard enough in the NBA. Because
I don't think I said that. I hope I didn't say that.
No, but I think that's the conclusion. Is that if you don't, through a 72-game season, if you don't get COVID in the NBA, then you probably aren't playing hard enough because someone's going to have COVID. And then everyone who plays hard enough around that person's getting COVID. But if you don't get COVID, then you're not playing hard enough.
Okay. Well, you said that. How about we're going to pin that one on you? I think maybe I was circling around that, but yeah, that's a good point. Maybe I did say it. I don't know.
I mean, there is this. Look, and I'm not saying that I agree with this because I don't, but there is like this segment of the population that says like these 19 to 35, 40-year-old, like healthiest people on the planet. Some of them have, they have, what's it called?
Pre-existing conditions
that can be impacted. But the ones that can play that don't have pre-existing conditions are the healthiest people on the planet. There is like this segment of the population that's just like, if they get it and they like, if an entire team just gets it, then they're good. But now we don't know that that's a fact. Just saying, like, there is people who believe like if these incredibly rich, like healthy guys, they all just get around each other and all get it, then the league can just play like normal.
Yeah, but that only works if those guys are not seeing their family the entire season, which we know is not going to happen. That's the real issue. Right. I know you're not saying that.
I know I'm not saying that, but there are people who are just like,
and those people are idiots because it's not a bubble. Like that's why this is so stressful in terms of if this season's going to make it or not.
The season's going to make it. It's just there's going to be a point where we're probably going to have really bad basketball.
Okay,
which. In the regular season, in the middle of the year in the NBA, there's a lot of times where we have really bad basketball anyways.
Yeah.
So who knows how it really impacts things. But there's going to be a lot of times. It's probably a positive that they can't have a lot of fans because they can't have a lot of fans bitching when LeBron doesn't, when the Lakers come to their city and LeBron doesn't play.
Right.
You know, because it's going to happen a lot. And generally speaking, the league, like the whole rest thing, like resting players, that was partially because fans were like the reason the league cracked down on load management is because fans were complaining that they paid good money to come to the game and then star players that they paid to see weren't playing. Don't have to worry about that now. Sit them as much as you want.
Yeah. I think people will find something else to bitch about, though. They'll find something that they didn't get to watch them on TV.
Well, there's a lot of people on the totally opposite side that are already bitching that they're even doing it, saying that it's dangerous. That, wow, how are we going to have a season? It seems dangerous when everything's peaking. No, you're never going to make everybody happy. I'm just happy that there's basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just don't come to my apartment and cough in my mouth, and I'll be good. You know what I mean?
Pretty good way to look at it. Yeah.
Here's a positive about all of the, well, not a positive. There's no positives, but if there is a positive, the Snitch Line is back, baby. Snitch Line is back. Notably, Dwight Howard said that he believes that he was snitched on through the Snitch Line during the bubble. I was thinking Daniel House, but no, he got caught on camera, right? Or did he get the snitch lines? Did he get snitch lined?
I think what we thought might have happened was like there was the snitch line that then made them go check the cameras and the door time or something, the door code. What we had there was a great term, the lock times or something. I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't remember. So Daniel House got kicked out. He got snitch lined. The only thing about the snitch line in a non-bubble setting is you'd probably mainly be snitching on your own teammates, right?
Yeah. I mean, right. I mean, where else? Because if you're out and you see an opposing player out, then you're also out. So you'd be snitching on yourself, essentially.
Well, you're not allowed to. You're allowed to go out.
I mean, like out, like
out without a mask,
right? Or out at a strip club or something.
What player? I mean, it's probably a lot of players, but what player do you think is most likely to get snitch lined in the first half of the season?
That's a good. I mean, you'd have to go back to last year. I would think it's Lou Williams again. Like Lou Williams went to a strip club to get his own wings or something, you know. So I think repeat offenders.
Well, he doesn't have to get snitch lined for that. He got caught. It was what's his name? The rapper.
Some like Snapchat rapper.
No, it was that rapper. The one that made isn't it the same dude who just made the song about Tyler Hero? I feel old.
Jack Harlow.
Yes, that guy.
Is that him?
Didn't he take a picture with Lou Will at the strip club?
I think so.
And that's how he got caught.
Yeah. So I'll say Lou Williams.
That's a cop out. That's an easy one. I'm gonna say Gordon Hayward.
Okay. Did you see the turkey that dude made? I should have messaged you. Okay.
Gordon Hayward's gonna get snitch lined. I'm not sure why.
I don't know why you're like he seems like he's married, like with kid, like I don't know.
He seems like he I don't know. He strikes me as an anti-mask type.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And I wonder how much he's going to get along with his teammates. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just wonder. I don't know. There's something about him.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Do you want me to do a non-cop-out one? I'm going to say Tyler Hero then. That's what I think.
Tyler Hero's going to get snitch lined?
Yep.
I don't think a Heat player will get snitch lined because I think the Heat have the Heat culture. I don't think players will be afraid to go call each other out.
That's true. Okay.
Like, I think if Tyler Hero's being an idiot, Jimmy Butler's going to go be like, dude, you're being an idiot.
Right. Okay.
Whereas in a place like Charlotte, where I know there's no culture, in fact, it's the opposite of the Heat culture. And players just are in their own little worlds. Although it's been a long time since I've been there, so I don't know. But my thought would be, if he goes into that young locker room and those guys just don't like him, they just get snitch lined. Young guys like, oh, you know, it'd be funny. Let's call a snitch line on the $120 million guy.
That would be pretty hilarious, though.
Yeah. So my pick's Gordon Hayward.
Okay.
Just for the fact that he got paid $120 million. Someone's just going to snitch on him for that. Someone's going to call the snitch line and be like, just want to let you know, Gordon Hayward got 4 years, 120. They're like, this is for COVID. Like,
God, amazing job, whoever's on the the receiving end of those calls. Like that I'd quit my job and do that for like minimum wage. That'd be so much fun.
I'm pretty much close to that. So yeah, I would too. All right. Last thing from the weekend, not really big news, but speaking of Gordon Hayward, the Hornets waived Nic Batum to make the space they needed to sign Gordon Hayward. And now Batum is planning on signing with the Clippers, which in and of itself is not like a huge deal because last year he only played 22 games last year, fell out of the rotation. By all accounts, he could be done. Like we don't know. He might be terrible, but he is only 31 years old and maybe change of scenery is what he needs. Clippers quietly went from looking like a disaster in the offseason, losing Trez across town to the Lakers. JaMychal Green goes to the Nuggets. They haven't really made any major moves. The team, the season ended horribly. Doc leaves, hire Ty Lue, whatever. But now you've replaced those guys with Serge Ibaka, better fit. Luke Kennard, good scorer, really good scorer and good shooter. Nic Batum, if he's right and healthy and can still play at 31 years old, even though he's been in the league for like 12 years, he's better than JaMychal Green. JaMychal Green's a little younger and bigger, but like Batum is a really good player if he's right. Now he could be awful. Maybe last year was what he is now, but if he's not, he can play 3. He can play the 4 a little bit. He can shoot it. He's a really good passer. He's decently athletic. Like I like what the Clippers have done in the offseason all of a sudden.
Yeah. It's kind of amazing, like how a player always gets kind of linked to his contract where like Nic Batum got that insane deal and he's like, in Charlotte, and people are down on him because he's linked to that contract. But now he's like, and you said it about.
Well, he averaged 4 points a game last year,
right? But I mean, he was coming off a pretty major injury, correct? Is that
probably? I don't know.
So,
I'm not positive.
I just see him with the Clippers. He doesn't have a ridiculous contract. Maybe he has a solid year of rehabbing his injury. And there's a reason he got paid that in the first place. You know, at one point he could play if he's healthy and he cares. Clippers could be getting a steal. So I just think it's weird how a guy can go from, in a fan's mind, like a total bum to, hey, like maybe this guy's got something left. And a lot of it
look at this
contract.
Yeah, I mean the guy was in the playoffs. I mean, in a major part of a playoff team for 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 years. Basically the better part of 7 years in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
And he went to the playoffs with the Hornets 1 year. He's not going to come in there and be one of their better players, obviously. But in terms of you're replacing JaMychal Green, it's not like you're replacing a stud player. You're replacing a good player.
Yeah.
And you got back on whatever his deal is. I mean, it's probably a minimum deal.
Probably minimum, which then, he could be a bargain. He's either a bargain or it's didn't work out. You know?
Yeah.
There's no downside, really.
Yeah. So the Clippers and, Shams tweeted, or somebody tweeted last week. It might not have been Shams, but there was a tweet. There was people tweeting last week that the Clippers are not done, that they're still looking to make. And I saw some rumors that they probably might move on from Lou Will or trying to move on from Lou Will. So they might not be done, but I still think even if they go into the season right now with what they've done in the offseason, they're better than last year. I still hate the Marcus Morris contract, but other than that, still pretty. I still don't mind what they did.
No, they definitely didn't get worse. It's not like they took a big step back.
No, they got better.
They may have taken a step forward, and I think that's good because I just cannot believe how their season ended last year, and we're kind of on different wavelengths with Kawhi. I know his leadership's not great, but I just want to see him. I want to see really if he was that top 2 player, if he can get there and be that again. and get to a finals.
Yeah, that's fair. That's it in terms of news. Name of the week. You want to do your name of the week?
I gotta say, I cannot believe this was not in the rundown. Nate Robinson getting completely knocked out by Jake Paul was, I thought, maybe something that we'd start the show with.
Well, it's not really basketball.
It's Nate Robinson.
That's true.
I just wanted to bring it up. That was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever watched on.
Well, if there's outside of basketball, my next like sport that I love is combat sports, particularly MMA, but I follow boxing a little bit here and there. And I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen.
Really?
I mean, Jake Paul, even though it's just one fight, he has fought professionally before. He's also like 6 inches taller than Nate Robinson. And that's huge in boxing. Like the reach is everything.
Yeah. I just thought the athleticism, obviously Nate Robinson is going to have a huge advantage in terms of athleticism, and it just did not mean anything in this fight.
I mean, here's the thing, I guess if he trained correctly, but if you watched, his team trained him to run in like a bull. Athletically, if he would have trained as a defensive fighter and moved around the outside and picked his shots and like fought defensively, maybe, because he's obviously a freak athlete and much quicker than a guy like Jake Paul. But this kid, 23 years old, pretty big dude, obviously decent athlete, and he has fought in a professional fight before. I was worried going in. I was like, he's gonna get embarrassed, dude. It's gonna be bad for him. I didn't know. I don't know if I thought he was going to like be knocked out cold like that, but I will say after the first minute, I thought he was getting knocked out cold.
Yeah.
Just the way he was like running in there and just like at points looking like he was going to try to body slam the dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever gone like that quickly from confident that one guy was going to win to confident that another, like, I don't know. I just had it in my head. I was like, Nate Robinson is going to beat this kid's ass. And then you're right. A minute in, I was like, here's the thing. Here's what's crazy is Snoop Dogg was commentating, which Snoop Dogg was the best part of the whole night of the whole event. Even Snoop, when Jake Paul got in the ring, he's like, "Oh, huh? You see him next to each other. He's a pretty big kid. Yeah,
he's pretty big. That might be a factor." Even Snoop was like, "Oh boy, Nate's fucked."
Factor.
He's like, "Nate's fucked." Yeah. So
right. Snoop Dogg is a good transition to the name of the week.
Okay.
We have, let me see if I can get these guys' bio up. Yeah, okay, Rutgers. From Rutgers University, 6'3", 175-pound Quincy Douby.
I remember Quincy Douby. I love Quincy Douby.
One of the best names in basketball history.
Not even
the word Douby is funny, but then you pair Quincy with that. It just rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah.
Quincy Douby. I really wanted him to be like a stud in the NBA, but he got drafted by Sacramento, and that's pretty much where careers go to die.
Do you remember Quincy Douby?
Yeah.
In college?
I do. He was really good in college.
Yeah, he was a baller.
Let's see. What was his best? Okay, how about, I wonder if you can guess his all-time best game. I'm looking at it. Oh, it's pretty bleak here.
In the NBA?
Yeah, in the NBA. What do you think, points-wise? Oh, okay. Never mind then. 2007, 2008, he had a really good game.
27.
More.
34.
32. You almost had it. Quincy Douby filled it up against the Lakers on March 15th, 2008. Or April 15th, 2008.
Did they win?
No, they lost by 23.
Nice.
And he was minus 16 while he was out there. But
all right.
Douby is your NBA name of the week.
Yeah, good stuff. Quincy Douby. He's back in our lives.
The
Duber. All right. You guys, thanks for listening, watching. Hit the like, hit that like button. By the way,
damn it.
Last week, the episode we did where we were answering your questions, that was awesome. So keep leaving your comments, leaving your questions down below here. Anything, not even about this video, anything you want us to talk about. We had a lot of fun doing that. hit the like button, obviously, and then Apple Podcasts, same thing. Go there, rate and review, leave us questions, especially this week. There's not going to be a ton of stuff to talk about unless Giannis signs his deal at some point this week, because it's just training camps. So we'll be able to talk about storylines that are coming out of training camps, but I don't think it's going to be super active. So leave us some stuff. If there's something you want us to talk about, let us know. If not, we'll come up with our own shit, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Later.